Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to interview Dawn Mueller, an educational consultant with Tutor Doctor. Today, we're talking about how you can earn a perfect score on the SAT. Dawn, thanks so much for joining us.
Jackson, thanks so much for having me on.
So, can you explain how the SAT is scored? Do students need to get every single question right to get a perfect score?
It's scored on reading, math, and then writing section. And the unfortunate answer is to get a perfect score, yes, you pretty much need to get every single question right. And let me just break that down a little bit more. In reading, you can only miss one or two questions. In math, you need to get every question correct because all of these sections are graded on a curve, so it's really competitive. And in writing, you maybe can miss one question at the most, but you really do have to get perfect writing and language score to have a shot of an 800 in that section.
So, is achieving a perfect score only something that's possible for naturally brilliant people, or is it something that students can work towards? How big of a role does motivation play?
I'm going to start with the last part of that question. So I think motivation really provides a lot of runway for you. If you're motivated and let's say you're in your sophomore year of high school right now and you start taking practice tests, chances are you're going to have a better shot at it. It's really about practicing and getting familiar with the test. As far as brilliance, again, I think there is a lot of intelligence that goes into it, but it is also how well do you take tests? And just to give you some perspective, let's see, so the maximum score possible is a 1600. Out of the 2 million students who take the test every year, only about 500 get the highest possible SAT score. That is 0.025%. So I'd say aim for a really good score, but it does catapult you to the top in high school academic achievement. So it's a great goal to have. And I think if you have a high goal, aim for the stars. And if you end up with the moon, that's not too bad. But if you study regularly and take a lot of practice tests, I think that can be a big benefit.
Great. So, to effectively prepare for the SAT, students clearly need good study materials and practice problems to work from. So, where can students find good SAT practice material? Are there any free or cheap resources online?
Yeah, so Jackson, there are a number of free online resources available. Magoosh, Princeton Review, Khan Academy are some of the ones that come to mind. And how you prepare can depend on your budget, but it really doesn't have to cost a lot of money. This gets back to your original question about motivation. If you're motivated and you avail yourself of these free resources, I think you can do very well. For example, a student could invest in a very good review book, and if they really work it and pace themselves between when they start studying and the test, they can achieve a pretty high score. So the ideal situation, of course, is a private tutor reviewing the areas that you've missed in your practice tests and bolstering in those areas so you don't make the same mistakes.
Great. So, quality is more important than quantity a lot of the times when it comes to studying. So, do you have any specific advice to help students prepare for the SAT? Is it more so a matter of repetition, or are there strategies to studying that you can share?
You know, some places do believe in the repetition of test taking to get used to the conditions, to pace yourself, to understand the timing. I don't think that is a one-size-fits-all strategy, though. With test prep, some students may do better with taking specific areas of the test, bolstering certain areas, getting some tutoring, or getting some strengthening of the areas in which they're deficient. I do think everybody should take advantage of the practice tests that are made available through your school, through sometimes the towns, the communities. A lot of the test centers offer them. And again, those other free online resources. But I think a big thing is pacing. Don't expect that if you start jamming 2 weeks before the test, you're going to do really well. Pace yourself out, and also make sure you get a good night's sleep the night or two before the test.
Great. So, do you have any tips or strategies that students could use or consider while they're taking the actual SAT?
Yeah, there are a good number of tips and tricks out there, but one of my favorite strategies is to read the answers to the question first and then go back and reread the question. This gives you an increased probability of determining the right answer. So it's process of elimination. So if I can knock out 2 out of the 4, I've increased my probability of guessing correctly by 50%. The other thing is to know which choices are definitely wrong, and then also you can guess. It doesn't hurt to guess on the SAT because a wrong score or wrong question answer will not be calculated against you. So definitely go back and guess. Another tip is to go through the test. The test does not progress the problems in order of easiest to difficult. So you need to go through and pick and choose. Answer the questions that are easiest for you first, leave the time to answer the difficult ones. One of the other test taking strategies I like is use the booklet. Write your answers in the booklet, make a note, and then make sure you've transferred them correctly so that you're getting your highest probable right answer.
Great. So how many times would you recommend that students take the SAT?
I would say the max is 4 times of taking it, because what will happen is the colleges will look at your highest score in the verbal and the math sections. So it really doesn't hurt you. 4 kind of balances it out. Maybe you do really well in the math one time, maybe you do really well in the verbal next time. You get the benefit of both of those. I think any more than that, you're starting to realize regression to the mean. Unless you really change your test taking strategy or really get some additional help in bolstering those areas in which you may have some deficiencies.
Great. So just kind of to wrap things up here, what is the last time that a senior can take the SAT and still have it count on their application?
So if you're applying for early decision with a November 1st or 15th deadline, you really should plan to take the SAT before October, but October administration would be the very last moment for that. And if you're applying for a January or later deadline, the early December SAT test date is your absolute last chance to take it.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again, Don, for joining us today.
Thank you, Jackson.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And for more interviews like this, please subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.